Good evening, everybody. Tonight is Tuesday, November 26th. It's about 7 o'clock. Tonight we have a Planning and Zoning Commission public hearing and general meeting. We are here in Town Hall in 206. We have a pretty straightforward agenda tonight with one nice hearing. I'm sure these guys will go quick. Starting right off, public hearing. The first one on the agenda is Coastal Site Plan Review number 105 Season Charlie, also known as PL 24-152, Danielle and Jaclyn Vene at 15 Weeds Landing, proposal to construct additions and alterations to the existing single-family residence, construction of a new pool, expansion of the driveway and patio area, and perform related site development activities within a regulated area, including minor regrading and installation of a stormwater management. The 0.54 plus or minus acre subject property is located at the western terminus of Weeds Landing, approximately 510 feet south of its intersection with Boston Post Road, and is shown on Assessor's map number 53 as lot 61 East and Edward in the R1 half residential zone. Gentlemen, what do we got?
Yeah, Steve, the additions to the existing residence on the property, including the new in-ground pool and patio area, add roughly 1,033 square feet of impervious surface to the site. The applicant is proposing a stormwater system to treat only the water quality since the property directly fronts on Holly Pond. A small portion of the property is within the FEMA Zone VE elevation 14, and they're also proposing a 4 to 5 foot retaining wall to support the elevated pool terrace. The Environmental Protection Commission looked at this application and issued an approval on November 21st. The application was also referred out to Ty and Bond of Joe Canis in connection with that EPC approval. Mr. Canis issued a November 6th endorsement of the project. Connecticut Deep also commented on the application. They sent comments for the record dated November 20th. And our building official, Mike Vitti, noted no issues with the application. The application was submitted in conformance with Section 810 of our zoning regulations under our coastal site plan review. And I believe we have a representative here this evening from Redness and Mead to present the application.
Hi.
Welcome, sir. State your name.
Hello. For the record, my name is Brett Holsworth.
You can pick him up, right, Ken?
Oh, yeah.
You can hear me? Okay, great.
Yeah, the 79 is the microphone.
You got me?
You're perfect.
Okay, great. My name is Brett Holsworth. I'm a professional engineer and a senior associate with Redness and Mead, civil engineers. I am, thank you for the introduction. I think you summarized it very well. Weeds Landing is a cul-de-sac right along Holly Pond. The existing building is being renovated internally. There are 3 small additions, bump outs for the building, a minor expansion on the parking lot, the driveway, and then we are proposing a small pool. It's more of just a 8 by 12, very small pool, 8 by 15, sorry, compared to a normal full-size pool, and a patio in the backyard. There's an existing terrace with a deck that is proposed to remain, and the Holly Pond is in the back. There's a good amount of vegetation already on the property with a sloping lawn down to Holly Pond. We worked with Matt Popp at ELS to produce this planting plan, which the EPC has reviewed. One of their comments in the resolution was to expand the buffer planting along the edge of the seawall to Holly Pond, just to provide more water quality benefits and enhancements to the landscaping, which we will provide with EPC staff review. We've received endorsements from EPC. We received endorsements from the peer reviewer and DEEP, and I'm here presenting and wanted to answer any questions that you may have or clarifications.
Just tell us a little bit more about the stormwater management that you put in.
Sure, absolutely. So this one is not as, this one has a lot of more detail here, but we are providing water quality benefit by installing 2 Cotekeke systems. It's the plastic chambers installed in the ground that will pick up roof leaders from a portion of the addition. There's about 1,000 square foot of increase in impervious, and we are collecting about 1,300 square foot of roof cover. So we're capturing more than what we are actually increasing. And we did test pits, and it's perfect beach sand. It just goes right down into the ground. But if there ever were an overflow, we do have what's called a pop-up emitter that is set at the ground level, that if we get a 100-year flood, for example, it would kind of pop out and just dissipate at the ground level, and then eventually get into the Holly Pond.
Where's that thing you're talking about?
So it's a 4-inch kind of PVC riser with just a flap valve that if the water rises, it just kind of opens up. And that is directly above the infiltration system in the lawn area.
And is that vertical into the side, or is it?
It's vertical on top of the Cotekeke system, yeah.
Do you know if this property's ever flooded in the recent past because of Holly Pond?
Not to my knowledge. The building is actually pretty high up above the flood zones. The elevation of the flood zone is 14. The first floor is set at 19. So the grade does climb in the backyard. So the owners who have been there a few years are not known to any flooding.
And the pool's at 18.4, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And we're not doing anything real significant to the driveway at all, right?
The driveway?
Right.
No, we're just expanding it because part of the renovation is adding a 3rd garage bay and just expanding a few feet just to get turning movement into that garage.
Okay. Great. Any questions from the commissioner? You're good for now? Jamie, anything for you? George?
No, I'm good.
Mr. Netter?
Pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward, right?
Brett, the erosion control is shown on the plans, right? We
Yeah.
talked about that.
Yes, correct. I should mention, we are proposing a silt fence at the bottom of the hill, which would delineate the construction area. We are providing a tracking pad at the end of the driveway. So yes, erosion controls are being managed and are proposed.
Did you reach out to any of the neighbors at all? It is a pretty tight-knit street. They were. I know they're all notified. But.
Yeah, we sent the typical neighbor notices, but we didn't do any additional neighbor outreach.
Okay.
If you can, these type of expansions are fairly common along Holly Ponds. There's a number of pools and patios.
I'm with you. Yeah.
So.
Okay. Would anybody in the audience like to speak to this application? 15 Weed Street. Welcome. Please come up. Man. You might come into the microphone if you don't mind. This way you can be on camera and TV and you can be heard.
Oh dear.
Just why don't you give us your name and affiliation, please?
Hi, I am Georgia Von Schmidt.
I'm a resident of Darien.
Great. Welcome.
Welcome. I was on the ZBA for 20 years, and my husband was on your board for 10, so.
Cool.
we come
You're
from a
alumni.
family of this. And I'm here on behalf of Weed Cemetery Number 2, which is a neighbor.
Okay.
No one gave notice of this, other than I saw it in the newspaper. My interest is that it's my family cemetery.
Oh,
And it's been there
congratulations.
since the early 1700s, and it is eroding a bit. There's been some, I guess, one body popped out, and a couple of coffins, the edges have shown. And so there's just some general concern as to the potential that the additional coverage on this lot will cause some additional incursion, especially since it looked to me, I looked at the file, it looked to me as if the water flow would go off in the direction of the cemetery, especially
you
from that
point-
little
Do you
pop-up.
know where the cemetery is that she was talking about, Brett? Is it on your map at all?
Right there, yep, right where you're
Yeah,
going.
right
Yep.
in the, to the north of the property. There's a pedestrian way in between
Yep,
the
I see it.
cemetery and then our property. Yeah.
So, just as I walked in the door, you were chatting about the little pop-up
Mhm.
vent in the back, which I believe that causes the water then to flow across the back of your property, probably across the cemetery, across the pedestrian way perhaps, across the cemetery and then into Holly Pond. I only first heard of this matter about 2 days ago, so I haven't really had a chance to study it.
Okay.
And I had also wondered if the land trust once had an interest in this entire site when it was being built by Neil Callahan for similar type reasons. I don't know if that is still the case. I looked at some of the records. I haven't found anything that specifically deeded the property along Holly Pond to the land trust, but it certainly was discussed at great length in the file. And I don't think perhaps they had notice of this either. And there was quite a ruckus at the time of the original application for construction along Holly Pond there because of the risks of flooding and the movement of water across the.
I was going to ask Brett a question. Can you do some kind of berm on that border?
Yeah, I mean, we can certainly look at that. It does seem like the contours are kind of parallel to Holly Pond. So, you know, in my opinion, if there were any overflow, it would go directly to Holly Pond.
So I'm looking at 12.1 and then it goes down to 8.10. I mean 10.8, 10.8. Right
Yeah.
at the pedestrian way.
Yeah, so it does kind of, yeah, in that area, it does veer a little bit to the north. So yeah, if that is concerned, we could certainly mound along the property line.
How tall would it be? 18 inches, 2 feet? something like that?
No, nothing like that. I would say 6 inches, just to divert any sort of, you know, flow runoff, you know, along the lawn area. You know, I wouldn't want to create a wall or, you know, even plantings, you know, with a mound would be sufficient to direct the water to Holly Pond.
Right, because we want the water to go due west, not north in any way, shape, or form.
Correct. Yeah. We want it to end up in the Holly Pond and not crossing properties. So.
See, man, it seems like it might be an easy fix. I mean, no one wants to erode any any land out of the cemetery area.
And we don't want
Sure.
any floating coffins.
Yeah, no, we don't.
Or
No.
on your property.
Nor would the property owners appreciate
Yeah.
that as well.
Let me ask Jeremy another quick question too. Remember 9 years ago or 10 years ago, when we did the town plan and conservation development, that cemetery guy did come in here, and we talked about maintenance of those things. This one's privately held. Does that still fund it?
Yeah.
All of that guy's purview?
Right. Ms. Von Schmidt and I spoke yesterday at length about cemetery maintenance and responsibility and state statutes, and
Yep.
we talked about various aspects. And here, there's an issue of access. There's not only the pedestrian way, but there's access from Boston Post Road for people, but we have to, as Gigi said, a way to get machines in, whatever it might be. So I think that's a separate issue here, is who's responsible and how are they going to maintain it? We
I
were
agree.
talking about that yesterday. Neither of us was able to find anything about the land trust. This was, I think the file was from 1983, when Weeds Landing, somewhere around there.
Late
Early 80s.
70s, early 80s.
Yeah, Neil Callahan was the builder. This was, back then, just, I won't say farmland, but it was basically ripe for development, and they built all of Weeds Landing, late 70s, early 80s.
Mhm.
So a lot of the houses have been, some of them have been flipped already. I think one or two may have even been demolished since then. But that's what we talked about.
So then, is this treated the same way as that private cemetery that's inside, no, that one's owned by the town, that's inside like the Fletcher project at 310, 330?
We have those, we have
That's
private
big.
cemeteries where Kensett is. I think there's 2 or 3 up there off in the woods.
Right. Yep, yep,
So
can
there
we
are
get
quite
to
a few
those?
throughout town. Some are maintained by, I think, technically the Board of Selectmen who might have. So there's a number of different types of cemeteries managed in different ways,
Okay,
as far as I know.
because if you can do some kind of berm, just to buff,
Sure.
to reinforce it.
Even if it's a planted berm.
Planted
Plant
berm
some-
with landscape, yeah, I think that's
Going down, just
certainly-
keep it out of the flood zone. So just go down to elevation,
yeah. I wouldn't want to
start putting fill.
start putting fill.
So if we could just do
Mr.
a
Tal
little-
probably would not appreciate that.
Do you have Matt Pop's architecture plan up there? Planning plan? I know we have one here.
Yes, this is.
Why don't you show this, this nice woman the plan where it would be?
Sure, so.
I don't want to keep the hearing open if we don't need to, but if you could tell her what you can do along that border?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the border, this dashed line. This is the pedestrian way, and then the cemetery is on this side. So we could develop a berm along the edge, essentially from the driveway to the VE zone, which would be elevation 14. So that would be right around here. So for this stretch, call it, 50 feet approximately, we could develop a berm, which, any runoff from the property or the infiltration would be directed
I think that
right
would
to the
help.
water.
Your pop-up, I also noticed, requires annual maintenance, that little thing in your backyard there that will
Yeah.
pop up and shoot the water out if it's,
Yep.
Do we have a maintenance plan for that thing?
All
Yeah, right,
stormwater
so-
management, yeah, that is part of the submission. Yep, that
Does
is
the-
standard with typical infiltration systems.
What happens is that stormwater treatment plant, or whatever the facility that they're building, that gets filed on the land records, and then the land record says it has to be periodically maintained.
Mhm.
So if the house ever sells or house gets refinanced, they go, okay, has this happened? And there's probably some kind of record. So yes, it is the owner's responsibility to do it. And if you, as a neighbor, says you think it's not been maintained, that's when you call these guys, and they pull the record, and they go, oh, it has been maintained, they haven't touched it in 10 years.
mhm.
And these guys go out there with, landscaper go out and fix it. Would you put, I'm sorry, would you put like seagrass or something along there? Does that make any sense or no?
Well, this is a manicured lawn,
Okay.
so I'm not a landscape architect. I wasn't planning on having Matt here for tonight, but we could, some sort of seagrass or some sort of low ground cover, native, instead of just a lawn bump.
Right.
So it does actually kind of delineate.
Because those seagrass holds dunes in place, so if it's really sandy,
Yeah,
that would be
Yeah.
really good. And everyone loves staring at seagrass. I got it all over my house.
sure. Yeah, I could review, the type of species that Matt would recommend. So we could have a low berm along that property.
Does that sound okay?
That sounds good. I have one last question for you.
Sure.
Do you have any objection to us who want to get into the cemetery to walk down that pedestrian way to access the major section of it?
I am not positive about the legal rights to the pedestrian way.
We're not really, I
and-
didn't mean to bring that issue
Yeah.
up, but I'm just saying, are you?
Well, I'm not I'm just the representative. I don't think I can give rights from the owner, but I do know that it is a legal access for whoever maintains that. So, but I could certainly discuss it with the owners.
That would be excellent.
Yeah.
Because the prior owner to this property, you see, the other access way, and I know this is off topic.
That's
What the
okay.
heck?
We got time.
The other owner of the property, prior owner of the property, used to allow people to utilize that access way because most of the grave sites are up here.
Yeah. Okay.
The other access way requires walking all the way from the Boston Post Road up everybody's backyard. Nobody likes that. And then climbing up a very steep hill about 15 feet high to get to the graveyard, which is kind of
Right.
bizarre.
Right.
And makes everybody a little uncomfortable. So I wouldn't expect you're going to have a crowd coming in there at any point in time, but maybe a person or two now and then.
Okay. Yeah, I could certainly run it by the owners. If they even have rights, we can
Well,
certainly
just
ask.
them. It's walking along their
But just
property
having-
line
Yeah.
and would be the most obtrusive to them, if anyone, and that's why I
Sure.
inquired if they would not be opposed.
Why don't we connect it with the people from Monuments and Ceremonies?
Yeah, Gigi and I talked about monuments and ceremonies,
Is
whether
that the
they would
guy
have
that came in?
jurisdiction over this cemetery, we were not sure.
Yeah, it's it. Maybe they want to help out.
It's a long
And
story.
George
That's kind of
wanted
what I
to-
wanted to ask Ms.
Yeah.
Von Schmidt. Do you know who the owner is? Can you give us the name of the owner?
Of the cemetery?
Yeah.
The cemetery is a cemetery that was started in, the first grave in there is 1763.
Yeah, but I mean now.
And that,
Who owns it now? Oh, okay.
I mean, could they sell plots in there? I mean, they're
I don't think so, but if I wanted to be buried in there, according to Jed Lawrence, I could go there.
he would know.
I'm not angling for that position.
He would
you
know.
know.
Okay.
And it also needs a address in order to send notices such as
Yeah.
for this meeting, which
Great.
no one was ever sent because on the tax records, it's not taxed, and therefore there's no address to send
But
it to.
it has a tax lot. It's lot 62, I think.
Correct, but it has no address for billing.
If you want a tax bill, I'm sure
That's the
Kathy Larkin's
criteria
will
you
help
guys
you out.
use. So, anyway, we'll deal with that separately. but
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
So if you could add something like that, we'll just make that a condition.
Mr. Holsworth, there's no,
My card, just so you can reach out to me. Thanks.
we're not, your plan doesn't increase the flow of water to the cemetery direction, right?
Correct, yes. The area that we're actually increasing is where we're collecting.
Yeah.
So we're actually decreasing in that general
All right,
area.
so any more you do is gratuitous, and that's great.
Sure.
Good.
Thank you.
Yep.
Would anybody else like to speak to this application? Okay, are we missing anything? So we'll just make some what we talked about, some conditions of approval. All right. All right, with that said, motion to close the hearing? George makes the motion, Jerry makes the second. All those in favor? Fingers closed. We will deliberate this. Are we deliberating anything on the 9th or no?
So maybe deliberate tonight if you have a chance, and then maybe possibly vote on tonight.
That's cool. I think we have time permitting tonight to deliberate this. Pretty straightforward, right?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
All right, great.
Yeah, if you could talk, just have Matt Pop throw something on there and submit it.
Absolutely.
Thanks for
All right,
coming in. All right. Next up, that is the end of tonight's public hearing. Now we're going to go into the general meeting. And the first item on the agenda is informal discussion, pre-application meeting regarding proposal for Wonder at 1897 Boston Post Road in the NB zone. That is the building is the new building that the Vaccaro team built. It had a kitchen store on the ground floor on half of it. It had a Zoots or Zooms? Moots was supposed to go in there on the ground floor. The kitchen store went out. Moots never went in. So this is a potential new tenant for that space that I think is going to take the entire space.
Yeah.
There's an access into it off of Dickinson. And there's a right turn only out of it on the Boston Post Road. And then there's a traffic light that's right in front of it. So that sets the stage. Maybe I stole some of your words.
No, listen, I know time is of the essence, so thank you.
Yeah.
Efficiency is a
And
big part of tonight.
Last I checked, there's one of these down in Mamaroneck.
Yes, yeah, there are.
Make sure we know about that.
Yeah. So for the record, my name is Jaclyn. I'm a partner at Carmody, Torrance, Sandak, and Hennessy with my associate Dan Chappell. We're both here for the pre-app review that Mr. Vene mentioned that we hope in 2025 will add an additional option, a new dining option for Darien residents in town. We're here on behalf of Wonder Inc., represented by Mr. Jason Botcher. He's one of their the leader of their development side, looking to open new storefronts really throughout the region. At least what I think, and we've worked on a couple of other sites before, and in my mind, what sets Wonder apart from some of the other food options in town, if you have a situation where, I don't know, Mr. Ginsburg wants pizza for lunch, but Mr. Donite wants barbecue. Well, someone needs to say, okay, Jeremy, we'll get pizza this time, but barbecue tomorrow, or they part ways, or go to two different locations, or get a new Uber Eats or something from two different restaurants. The unique thing about Wonder is that Wonder is able to provide various cuisines all at one storefront location, meaning if Jeremy and Fred, instead of having a fight about where they're going to go, if this restaurant is eventually successful, they could order through the Wonder app and get a slice of pepperoni pizza and General Tso's chicken all from one location. Go to one location, have it delivered all from one location. Really terrific efficiency and an opportunity to provide customers with diverse palates the ability to order different cuisines from one location.
So it's a food court.
Well, it's a hub and spoke system, kind of like some other retail food establishments in town where food is primarily cooked or prepared at off-site locations. It's brought to storefronts, and then final preparation takes place on a made-to-order basis. You'll hear, perfect. At all these locations, what Wonder is always looking to do is just increase efficiency. The goal is to have folks stay, 5 minutes or less on a property when they're coming to pick up their food. And Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we want to say it's like 95% of folks, a business done at any storefront is takeout or delivery. There's really no meaningful dine-in type of operations.
Yeah, in our suburban locations, the dine-in option, which we do offer, is minimal to the point that we actually don't quantify it because it's so small.
Why don't we go to the next slide?
We don't want to go crazy on delivery either. I don't want to rely on Uber Eats cars there.
Right. So What I think another thing that sets Wonder apart, and probably should have mentioned this earlier, if anyone here watches the Food Network, you probably have heard of some of the folks that Wonder partners with to prepare these different types of cuisines. Bobby Flay is a partner, Michael Simon, Marcus Samuelson. So just to name a few, all folks who are part of the Wonder team in providing this type of facility. So Dan, why don't we go to the next slide? This is just a quick run through of how it kind of functions. As I mentioned, you order from the app. Folks can come pick up at the storefront location, and then you have your nice meal when you go home or back to the office. Why don't we go to the next slide, Dan? Wonder would take the entirety of the ground floor, as Mr. Vene mentioned. It's about 3,600 square feet, but because there's really limited focus on the dine-in or facet of the business, I think it's less than 1,000 square feet, if that would be publicly accessible. There would be some chairs in front for folks to sit down, or if someone wants to, they could, but it's really limited publicly accessible space. Over the remainder of the 3,600 square feet would be the back of house for food preparation, storage, office space, things of that nature. There are, as some of you folks probably remember, 5 apartments on the upper levels of the building. There are 24 parking spaces on the site. This is a pre-application, so it will. If this project moves forward, there'll be a special permit application, public hearing in front of all of you. We'll have to retain a traffic consultant. You all, I would assume, would retain your own independent traffic expert to double check our numbers when it comes to traffic and parking. So that's something that'll be fully vetted in a special permit application. But we would not be at this stage if we didn't feel that some parking arrangement on the site wouldn't work for what we're looking to do.
What's the parking for the apartments? 1.5 per? That's 10.
Yeah, I can't remember if they're 1 or 2 bedroom apartments. I'd have to look that up. And it's based on the square footage of, again, we talked a little bit when we spoke to Jay and his team about the category. It's obviously not a full-service restaurant because you're not sitting down. It's either a quick-service restaurant or considered retail food service. So we're still looking at those details. I don't know if the parking requirement's the same. We talked about the number of employees and trash pickup and all those types of issues as well.
Yeah. I think to those points, I think it's 7 parking spaces that's required for the residences on the site, if I'm remembering the prior approvals correctly. So that would leave a healthy balance of parking spaces for the retail operation.
How many different food options are at this proposed location?
So it varies. We can offer upwards of 25 unique cuisines at a given location. Each of those cuisines has a limited menu of a handful of items, and then there is some overlap between the items, but upwards of 25 unique cuisines, whether they be partners or our own in-house developed cuisines.
So then it's going to go to parking. I don't want to get too deep into the weeds, but it's going to go to parking so you can know in advance. How many cashiers do you have?
No cashiers. We have 1 front of house brand ambassador, so not a cashier per se. In terms of that front of house operation, if someone were to walk in without an order already having been made, we have self-serve kiosks that they would offer. So it's not traditional wait staff like Jay had mentioned.
So if there's a Dunkin' Donuts and a McDonald's and a Taco Bell, there's not a different cashier for each person?
No.
You take your whole shoot match and you go to one person. But
we are very heavily leveraged on the e-commerce side. So a vast majority of our customers, before they walk in or come to one of our locations, their order has already been placed, and they're only coming when they get the notification that the order is ready for pickup.
So it's prepaid, so you already paid through your app?
Through the app, correct. Yeah, that's the majority.
And the food is warm when?
Yes. Yeah, we take great pride in making sure that food is warm. So with that, we have a limited service area out of every one of our locations, usually a 12 to 15 minute drive time.
Because relative to the cashiers, what I'm trying to get deciphered, if you have 25 different cuisines, you get 25 different chefs. You only have 17 parking spaces.
No. So our employee count it's not one dedicated person per cuisine or partner. It all comes in batch to the location, and then it's all prepped using the same pods or the same back of house equipment. And all the chefs all of the back of house staff, they are all trained on all of the different cuisines.
So the guy that's doing the sushi is the same guy that's doing the lasagna?
I don't believe we're doing sushi anymore, but everything comes in and they're all trained on all the different cuisines, correct?
I think,
Sort of like what they did with Bertucci's before they closed down. Bertucci's had like Wingstop and
Oh, yes.
burgers, they had like 4 or 5 ghost kitchens, right? Is that?
So, that, in my world, that's a dirty word.
No, it's gonna say that. When you say yeah, I'd be like, ooh.
Certainly not a ghost kitchen. You will see,
Your ghost
marketing
kitchen someplace
language,
else.
where, we call ourselves a new kind of food hall. We are a new concept in a lot of ways, or a unique concept. And so that's why I wanted the pleasure of speaking to you guys. But in terms of it being a ghost kitchen, that's certainly not the case. And that's, we do have a front of house and a brand ambassador, like I said, at the front, for the very reason is that we don't want to be known as being a ghost kitchen by any means.
But isn't the ghost kitchen per se off-site, but it's called a commissary? That's where you make the food?
So we have production facilities off-site, that is correct, and then the preparation and is completed on-site.
Right.
yeah, like a hub and spoke kind of,
Yeah.
I
Right.
think, fjord.
Exactly.
'Cause what I'm just trying to figure out is how many employees you have there.
Yeah, yeah.
So employees are during our peak times, it's anywhere from 10 to 12, maybe 13 at most.
Right.
And with that, the fun part of working for a company like Wonder, I say fun, I don't know if I mean it, but we're constantly iterating our back of house design with efficiency in mind, and with efficiency comes reducing labor requirements for sure. So when we had started the retail establishment model that we're moving forward with now, our employee count was a lot higher than it is now, and it's constantly being reduced with each iteration of that back of house design.
I think the other point I make there too, and I'm just, again, thinking about, this is the pre-app when we get to the app, I guess. Remember for bird code, we kind of charted out, employee spaces, number of guests during a peak hour, when you take into account turnover and how long actually, when Dan goes to pick up his food, he's only there for a couple minutes, he's not there for 25. So that's something that we anticipate having to pencil out for you guys in a formal application, so.
Because if we wanted to, we could technically waive the parking study.
Yeah, I think it's gonna
But
come up.
now it's,
If not for the
It'd be
by the
hard.
commission, by the neighbors to understand. Again, we talked a little bit about if there's gonna be a lot of, just what you said, Uber or DoorDash or whatever, is it better just to have spots, hey, DoorDash, but I think we wanna make sure that they can all get on site, they're gonna run in, run out, figuring out how that's gonna be done, and
Yeah.
we talked a lot about getting that thought out.
Yeah.
So they have to physically go inside the building? then?
Right, there's no drive-through.
Yes,
Well,
correct.
Yeah, I know
Correct,
there's
yeah.
some systems where employees actually go out to the, yeah.
Yeah, we're not doing curbside where we're running it out to either the customers or porters. That's not what's happening in this situation. They do have to come inside the establishment.
Yeah. I think just another sort of general operations question that we anticipate will come up, when deliveries take place. Wonder is typical, it's a lunch and a dinner time option, not a breakfast option, so deliveries would be able to take place, at a reasonable hour in the AM, and it wouldn't interfere with, customer services or parking and things of that nature. Dan, why don't we go to the next slide? I'm trying to think this is a look at the interior of a typical, the storefront portion that Jason mentioned. Dan, why don't we go through, I don't think we have many more.
and this is 2/3, 1/3? You said it's 3,500 square feet.
3,500 square feet, 800 to 1,000 square feet would be that publicly accessible
Yeah.
component.
So
Yeah.
our publicly accessible space is usually less than 20% of the total gross floor area.
Yeah.
Jay, because roughly, as we discussed, roughly 2/3 of the space is back of house.
Yeah.
Can you just briefly touch on sort of the visibility into that space given the windows around the
Sure.
building from, from the sidewalk, from the
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah, sure, Dan, we can go back to the, well, actually, this is a good one to kind of start that conversation, because I did mention, Wonder is a growing presence in the region, that lot in, urban cores in Manhattan, New York City. They are expanding into more suburban communities. This is in
This is Livingston. New
Livingston, New Jersey. This is a nice example of how they try to fit into the fabric of a community. Let's go back one more to the site itself. To your question, Fred, initially the thought was, we want to try and activate the front of the building as much as possible, so that, there's something nice, visible and attractive for folks walking by or driving by. Not too much so that there's too much of a dine-in component, because that's just not something that's not Wonder's business model. But, if there's a desire, to make an attractive building look even more attractive and look active, that's something that our team will look into as well. But we certainly, it's a great building, and we want to be a value add to the building, not have it looking tired or vacant or anything like that. So, why don't we go to the next?
Just to be clear, is that, it's all one-way traffic? I wasn't here for
Yes.
the application.
Yes,
First
so that's
one, so-
folks will, as Dan's charting with his cursor.
And
that's
there's
the flow.
no light there, right? Dickinson doesn't have.
There is, no, there's a light, that's Rings End Road.
Right here, there's
There's a light
traffic.
there, right, but there's not one at Dickinson.
Not at
right?
Dickinson.
No,
That's a
there's
tough
not a
left
light.
hand turn.
Right.
Yeah,
So, yeah, it's gonna be an interesting intersection.
yeah. And that'll be something that we'll have to
Yeah,
study.
sure.
Right, absolutely. Why don't we go to the next one, Dan? Well, we already saw
I
it.
think
Next
we're-
one, I think we wrapped it up.
Slides, yeah.
We're out of slides. Yeah, we talked
Yeah,
about all
see.
this, yeah. Next one, I think that's, yeah. So that's all we have for you folks. Again, this is something we hope to work with you all on in 2025, but since it's a little different, it was important to get in front of you and tease out some questions that'll help us do our homework in the coming
Yeah, I
months.
always.
What's that?
A little holiday gift.
There you go, right, if folks weren't hungry already.
Yeah, whenever possible, I try to get them, if I have to go before a board for any of our locations, I always try to do a conceptual meeting just to get your input, any ideas that you guys might have, so that in the event that we actually do move forward with a formal application, we can integrate some of those in any way that we can.
Can I get your name for the record again?
Sure,
And-
Jason Botcher, that's Bottcher, and I'm an associate director for Wonder.
Thank you.
Tell me about the parking. I mean, we very rarely have reserved spaces for Uber or pickup. There are now 2 at Shake Shack that say pickup because you called in the app in advance. I'm not a big fan of those spaces. But you're talking about deliveries, and the other thing is 800 square feet or 1,000 square feet. How many patrons can fit in that?
So in terms of the actual occupancy load, I'd have to take a look at our preliminary set or our test fit and see if that's been calculated. In terms of guest seating, this is minimal. I believe that right now, as it's currently designed, it's either 8 or 10 guest seats. And usually that's just used for waiting or for pickup.
Right, because I'm thinking if 3 cars of McKinsey people go there for lunch, right? That's 12 people. And they
Yeah.
don't know what they want in advance. They don't sit at their computers, okay, let's figure it out. Like, you go there for the experience, what's on the menu today?
Yeah,
When you
so,
look at it.
there's always a bit of a learning curve as we're being introduced to new markets.
But once you make the 800 square feet and the fire marshal's going to put a sign up, say capacity 15 people. I mean,
Yeah,
the 12 people
and
from
if that's the
McKinsey can't
case,
go.
yeah, we would absolutely comply. But in terms of the layout of the front of house right now, there is significant space for just purely for waiting with, and we usually integrate, if you want to go back to the Midland Park
Interior.
slide, the previous one. There you go.
There we go.
So you can see that this elbow height, that's really just a waiting area. It's essentially a lean table, let's call it. And it's just a good location for customers to wait. In terms of that actual occupancy, it usually winds up being about 25 people by code, but not really much more than that.
That fit in 1,000 square feet.
Correct.
What percentage do you estimate being Uber or another service versus actual customer picking up?
So that's split for a suburban market whether it's third party or wonder ordered for delivery versus pickup, it winds up being around that 60 to 35 ratio, so 60% delivery, 35% pickup. That's a typical ratio for us. I get weekly updates on all of our order trends, and I try to keep tabs as much as I can on our suburban markets in particular to see how those ratios are shifting and if trend lines are changing. They typically change more around holidays, to be quite honest. I don't understand why. That's above my head, but it's kind of what we see.
How do you do your own delivery service, the Wonder delivery service? Do you have vehicles that would be parked in the parking lot a lot of the day, but then you go out and deliver it? Yes?
Yeah, so on the courier operations side, and I don't want to get too much in the weeds, I'll try to keep this high level. We purchased a company called Relay about 6 months ago, and that team was brought into the Wonder fold, and they direct our courier ops. They were a courier-based third party out of New York City, and they're expanding with us now. And with them, they brought their technology. And what that allows us to do is have a degree of operational control over courier operations. We don't hire any of our couriers directly. They are not employees of Wonder, they're independent contractors. But through the technology that we have, the way we manage our direct independent contractors is through a reservation system. So all couriers are vetted, and then they have to reserve 30-minute delivery slots. And that makes sure that we're not inundated with couriers. That's not what we're looking for. So we manage how many couriers are associated with every one of our storefronts based on whatever projected volume might be for a given day.
And what are those vehicles doing when they're, it's not lunchtime? Are they standing by nearby or what?
So, I mean, most independent contractors, they're probably on Uber Eats, they're on, I don't want to say Grubhub, but they're on other third-party apps, and they're running all over the place, and they're always managing more than one app. So, generally, they're off doing a delivery for one company or another.
So you don't own any cars with overnight parking?
Correct.
Tell me, just before we go, tell me a little bit about Mamaroneck. How's that working out? And that's right on Mamaroneck Avenue, the old Mamaroneck Avenue?
Yeah, I believe it's actually, if I remember correct, I think it's also on Post Road. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I've been at that location. Everything's going great as far as I'm aware. I haven't received an influx of complaints. We had some hiccups when we first got started, but everything's been ironed out.
Because that's street parking there.
No, we actually have quite a large parking lot at that location.
So you're next to the Whole Foods or what?
The Stop and Shop.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is not Stop and Shop anymore, but okay.
Well, I heard the Stop and Shop sold or closed.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah. No, you could be right. I could be conflating this site with another one. But yeah, everything's going well.
Okay.
Business is good, and operations moving smoothly.
Because that's across the street from the high school, the middle school. Okay. Any questions for these gentlemen? You want them to move forward with the application, or you want them to ban it quick? That's it, that's why they're here.
Well, we contemplated whether or not you guys would vote on it tonight.
Or if we could bring you samples, but I don't know if that's.
I want Bobby flavor.
Barbecue look good.
There you go. Yeah.
Tejas is actually one of our best-selling partner by far. And I'm lucky enough to work with those guys at the production facility often. So I always get the ribs and the brisket right out of the smoker. It's wonderful.
How far away is your production facility?
So we have a 40,000 square foot production facility in Cranford. I was the zoning officer and the town planner in Cranford before they decided they'd rather have me on their side than being a thorn in their side from the other side of the table. We also have a pizza production facility in Newark, New Jersey, and then our barbecue production facility is in West Orange, New Jersey.
Wow. So you're driving this stuff all the way from New Jersey?
Oh yeah, and I'm going to have hearings coming up, I think in January and February down in DC. I'll be going up to Boston next month to look at a few sites. We're going to be.
And where were you in Pennsylvania yesterday?
Westchester, PA. It's about 45 minutes west of.
That's a main line.
Yes.
That's a good comp.
Yeah. No, that's
a great comp.
And a great town too. Yeah.
Good.
Looking forward to getting that one
That's going
started.
over Rosemont, all that stuff.
Yeah. So we're looking at, I think, 5 locations right now in southeastern PA. I don't need to rattle them off.
All right, so move forward, and then we'll give some ideas.
Just
Go
a little bit of input from my initial response here. I have some concern about Garden City Road there, coming off of Norotan Avenue, because I think that will become an access to the entrance to this particular spot. And so that, and I'm, if you're successful, I'm concerned that the parking won't work. If you have as many employees as you have, and a lot of people are coming in, and we got to protect the tenants in the apartments to make sure they have their spaces. So I'm concerned about that too. And of course, you'll have to be sensitive to aromas.
Certainly, yeah.
Just off the top of the head,
Yeah.
that's not what we're here for. Huh? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anything, Jane?
I agree, traffic and parking are going to be the primary issues.
Great.
Parking.
Can you exit out of the parking lot onto Dickinson? I've never done that.
No, it's not
One
one way,
way.
one way, yeah.
So you also have to figure out, if people from Mackenzie are coming here to pick up their lunch, and trust me, guys like getting out of their office, they're not, you're not calling Uber Eats to bring it to your office. You gotta figure out how those guys are getting back to Corbin.
Yeah.
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 To
from a
George's
site
point,
plan
you're gonna come out
standpoint,
there,
that
you're gonna
is-
make a right on Norotan Avenue, another right on Garden City, another right on,
Dickens.
and then right on Dickinson, then a left
Yeah.
onto the post road where there's no traffic light. So you're going roundy, because you can't go left.
Right, yeah. We were,
Of course, you're
before,
gonna go straight into the St. Paul's, do a U-turn to St. Paul's, and then go the other way.
yeah. But before we came,
So
one of the things we talked about, Jason was asking who are the traffic engineers that do good work in Darien, so we gave them the usual suspects.
Yeah, but you just got, you gotta remember who your audience is in terms of, most of your lunch is gonna come from Corbin. There's 100,000 square feet of office workers going in there, and they're gonna open in 27, and each guy is making, each person that works there is your target market. And they live the other direction.
You've got tenants coming home from work while other folks are coming in to pick up dinner.
Yep.
Yeah, I think on that point, we can continue the dialogue that we started last week for sure. More than happy to do that, make sure everybody's comfortable with the way the operation would ultimately wind up.
Right, and we're talking what, 8 seats, 2 tables with 8 chairs?
Yeah, that's it.
Then I'm not allowed to,
It might be 4 and 2, but whatever the combination might be.
and I'm not allowed to eat my lunch there. I have to go eat at my desk.
You would be allowed to, but most people just opt not to dine in. We just don't see it in the suburban locations. In New York City, our New York locations, there's a much larger dining component. We just don't see the trend in any of our suburban locations, oddly enough. Our Westfield location, which was our first suburban site, is right next to an NJ Transit station. And we figured everybody getting off the train would be popping in and eating. No, they're popping in and dining and picking up. They're right out the door.
Yeah.
Outdoor dining's pretty popular around here, and if there were a table or two in front of the building, which I think is fine and encouraged by us, it might be a nice option, but that's increasing cars.
That increases cars, that means the car sits there for a half hour.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus you got the fire department next door, and those dudes that walk over there.
That's good, let them walk. That's good.
Okay. We'll give him some, or these guys, some additional feedback, so that'll get to
Great.
you. Because
Perfect.
it's a great idea. You have to activate the cupola, and that's on the wrong side. So I don't know if you have you put a kitchen, a design kitchen in there where you can watch the people cook?
So if I remember the layout correct, and at least tentatively the way it is designed, this would be that publicly accessible area, would be right over here.
For visibility. In terms of the back of house, it would be more focused on the actual back of the structure.
Parking lot, yeah.
Yeah, but see, the only problem is how do the customers gotta walk around the entire building. And once they park their car, they walk around the entire building to get to that cupola.
So I believe that for the entirety of this structure, the only public, and this was meant to be broken up into 2 retail spaces originally by approval. There's a retail entrance here and a retail entrance here.
Yep.
And then there are sidewalks coming adjacent to the building over here to the front. And then there, if we had to do something by way of some wayfinding signage, we'd be happy to do that.
I think most of the residents park along the back border.
Yeah, yep.
I don't think those guys have reserved signs, I don't remember.
I'd have to double check, I don't recall exactly.
Yeah,
That was,
go
I
through
stopped
that.
by there before I came here tonight. There were cars in
I
the
go
back.
through, I go through there a lot in the summertime when I leave the beach. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else? Good?
No, thanks.
Good. They could deliver it to 40 South Richards.
telling you, they should build it tomorrow.
Dude's hungry.
Like I said, if you guys want to vote tonight.
Dude's hungry. All righty,
I might get
thank
a
you.
bonus
Hey,
if that's the
thanks so
case.
much, everyone. Appreciate the time. Have a great
Thank you
Thanksgiving.
very much. Have a great holiday.
Yeah, you too.
All right, next bunch of items on the agenda. We have a bunch of resolutions to go through. I think there's 3 or 4 of them. We can blow through these in short order, that'd be great. First one, deliberations and possible decision on the following: coastal site plan review number 365, A as an apple, flood prevention application number 418, A as an apple, also known as PL 24-138. Proposal to construct additions and alterations to the existing residence on the property and perform related site development activities within a regulated area. In our packet or documents, we have a draft resolution. This is 12 Pratt Island, which I have the first one. Less than half an acre property on Pratt Island. We talked about the timing of the construction and the traffic that they're going to do. They want to get started right away. Any questions, comments, typos, scrivener's errors in this one at this point? Anything special, Fred, on this one?
No, this was fairly straightforward. Proposal to construct additions and alterations to the existing structure on the property. Pretty straightforward.
It was straightforward, it was small. The only thing I really cared about was when they were gonna get started and when they were gonna finish. And most of remember we talked about the white vans?
Right, we talked about Pratt Island it's got 2 or 3 houses under construction now, but by the time they get moving, the others might get done.
Right, and then all the heavy lifting and foundations will be done. Okay. If we didn't find any edits to it, we can entertain a motion to approve as drafted. We want to make that motion? Mike makes a motion, looking for a second. Jamie makes a second, all in favor? 4-0. Done. Next item up for bid. Coastal site plan review number 143B as in boy, flood damage prevention application number 144B as in boy, also known as PL 24-155. James and Kathryn Metcalfe at 129 Nearwater Lane. Proposal to construct a new patio and steps to serve an existing deck and perform related site development activities within regulated areas, including landscaping and minor regrading. I think this was the house where they're just adding a deck to the back of it to get easier. Is this one with
Yes,
the pool?
with the 2 big trees and the deck patio is coming out in between. They're saving the 2 trees and just expanding the deck.
Okay, any questions, comments, typos, scrivener's errors on this one anybody found?
It's all good as far as I'm concerned, but I was prompted to ask because this line is used several times, and I'll show my ignorance here. What is the significance of it being in the lower 1/3 of the watershed? I don't
It's
understand.
routine. That's the
The
routine.
1/3 is a requirement?
No, so you can let it flow off into the watershed if you're at the lower 1/3.
You're allowed to. I'm just wondering about the 1/3 piece, the lower 1/3 of what? Of the state? Or-
No, it's
This watershed is probably, Nearwater Lane is.
Watersheds like
Maybe
this.
it's the Goodwise River watershed. When you
This
think
is
of
like
like the
New
Goodwise
Canaan.
River, it flows all the way through the town.
Yeah,
The lower
yeah.
part of town,
Yeah.
let your water go, because we want to get rid of your water before it comes down from New Canaan.
Yeah,
It all comes all the way through the town, so let your water go. So if you're in that lower portion, you get a waiver for holding back water. You're just
Oh.
gonna treat it, let it go, while you await the water coming.
Get the water out as quickly as
So
possible.
these
you're
these
not
guys up
backing
here
it
hold their
the hill.
water?
Uh-huh.
These guys hold their
Right on
water,
Holly Pond
these
here.
guys, they let it go.
You
So
want to
there's,
encourage it to go.
there's not a lot of cold text down here.
Yeah.
It's just water treatment and cleaning of it.
Into whatever.
And as soon as they get rid of it.
Thank
these
you,
guys treat
that
and
helps.
hold
Now
and
I get it.
retain.
I get it.
Because these guys want to do
Hope
that.
I'll remember that.
To George's point, right, like, when we talk about water treatment, and this is totally an aside, but give
Totally,
me
man.
30 seconds. Heat also, is that an issue, or is it just like road chemicals and lawn chemicals and things like that, or is it just purely like silt?
A lot of it's the treating of the water.
I think it's a little of both. I'm not an engineer, but I think some of it is, for example, the stuff on the roof,
Right.
right?
Debris.
Debris, whatever. So put it in a cold-tack,
Yeah.
treat it, and then,
Slow it down, let the crap get out of it, and then, okay.
yeah.
Clean it out occasionally.
The oil in the driveways and the asphalt, all that stuff, they treat it and then they send it to Long Island Sound.
Yeah.
They don't want to send it to Long Island Sound without being treated.
Right. Just leave that to the
But a lot
sewage
do
treatment
have,
plant in Stanford.
well, a lot of folks don't have those fancy contact things. Just plain up.
Right, exactly. That's why it's always added like this. The one application we saw today, they didn't have it, so they're putting it in.
Right.
Right, and those guys, they're weeds. They're in the lower one there too. They're on Weeds Lane now.
Mhm. Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, that came up. So.
So
Okay,
again, there are
yeah.
typos in this one. This was clean.
I move approval.
George made the motion to approve. Mike made the second. All in favor? 4-0. Okay. Next item up for bid is coastal site plan review number 61 A's and Apple, flood stem prevention application number 49 A's and Apple, also known as PL 24-153. JHTimes Darien LLC at 1
Runkenhage.
Runkenhage Road.
Runkenhage.
Proposal to construct an addition to the south side of the existing single-family residence and construct of a detached car shed and reconfiguration of the driveway and parking court, and perform related site development activities, including minor regrading, installation of new septic system, and stormwater management. I think we did have a neighbor talk on this one, right?
We talked,
I don't
we
think
talked
so.
about the, Mike brought up the question about Runkenhage Road, the west side, where does the water flow to, whether it was Mike or.
There was
Your
ice.
client, was your client?
Oh,
No,
it was dropping off on the,
In the private part of.
there was an
Runkenhage
issue
Road.
with ice pooling at the, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the main issue here is it's very sloping, large sloping property going down to the water. New septic system, which is the closest thing to the water. The house, I'll call it at the top of the hill. They're doing additions and alterations now. Didn't need P&Z approval, but part of what they're doing is the driveway, the car shed, kitchen addition, the kitchen bump out, all at the upper part of the property.
And this one, the house has been under construction for a while.
Yes.
It's going on and on and on and on, and now they're doing
Correct.
stuff that we have to look at.
How did they get the permit without having to come to
A
us?
lot of it's interior, they're gutting, I couldn't believe it, they're gutting the interior. So there was no new impervious surface, they're, putting in,
This is an afterthought, the septic system?
well, I think this was, I think the septic system was, now we, right. So they were doing some concrete work, fixing up some existing walls. There were a number of pieces to this project, but it's been under construction for at least 6 months, Fred, I would say.
Yeah, at least 6 months.
Mhm.
And the improvements to the house, the driveway, the car shed, the bump outs to the house, more than 350, 400 feet from mean high water, and all outside of the flood zone. We took a look at, weighed whether this actually needed to come before the commission. What pushed it over the line for us was the installation of the new septic on the site, which is partially within the flood zone and much closer to mean high water than the other improvements were.
Yeah, makes sense. Good. I hope the building department ups its fee.
This will be a
Chasing
separate
dollars.
for this one.
Hey, I'm a taxpayer here.
Yeah, a little went there, the watershed, or agree with the commission. Any questions, comments, typos, scrivener's errors on this one?
No, good.
And Laura, eyes, can you find anything? Alrighty, with that said, entertain a motion to approve as submitted. Who wants to make that motion? I think it's Jamie's turn, right? Looking for a second? Mike's turn. All in favor? 4-0. Okay. Cruising right along. Alright, next item. Land filling and regrading application number 483A is an Apple, also known as PL 24-154, Brendan and Jacquelyn McNamara at 55 Maywood Road. Proposal to construct a new pool, patio, and retaining walls and perform related site development activities, including the regrading the property to accommodate improvements and installation of stormwater management. This was the young kid that was on the, wants to be on the swim team, right?
The representative from.
Yeah, the father and the kid was here. Don't you want to be on the swim team?
Yeah,
And it
you're
was
right,
like, yeah.
you're right.
You gotta remember, that's how you do it. Great. Any questions, comments, typos, scrivener's errors on this one? I didn't see anything. It's a big piece of property. It was a small pool they were putting in. It's 2 acres. Yeah, it's like 2 acres on a 1 acre zone. Is that right?
2 acres.
2 acre zone.
Yeah, fair amount of regrading here.
And they're doing the new patios and whatnot. Is this the one where we figured out the number of trucks? There was a lot of trucks on this one? Or is that, there was not much grading on the one on Pratt Island, right?
Number 12, no, not much grading. Small additions, pool already existed at 12 Island, so there's just small additions to the house.
Right, so this one, it talks about it at item number 5.
Right.
That report, they're taking, and how many truckloads, we didn't do much about the number of truckloads coming out?
Well, usually it's 20 cubic yards per truck, so they're gonna be digging out, I don't know, 50 truckloads. And they only need a truckload coming in. A lot of it's gonna be, you're digging a hole the size of this room, 6 feet deep. What is it, 20 by 40?
Right, but
So-
it's 1,000, it's over 1,000 cubic yards coming out, and 20 trucks, that's a lot
So
of
it's,
trucks.
when you dig the dirt for the pool, all that is coming off-site.
Right. So do we care about how the trucks come in and out?
Maywood shouldn't be a problem, it's pretty good. Flow of traffic, not
Okay,
particularly busy.
57 trucks.
Right, over a period of, a couple months, it wouldn't seem to,
It doesn't tip the scale.
yeah.
Okay. And no one spoke about this one either. We didn't get
That's
any.
correct. No members of the public spoke at the hearing.
Okay. No typos in this one either? Everyone's clean?
We need Adam.
You can take the downer back. Dave Keating. Those guys, all kinds of typos.
Okay.
Right, looking for a motion to approve as drafted. I think it's George's turn.
Sure.
Okay, and I think James up for a second. All in favor? 4-0. Fantastic. Good job, gentlemen.
Yeah, very good.
All right, next item up. Deliberation only on the following 2 applications. Were you recused on any of them? You recused on the first one or no?
I was on one of them. Which
18
one was it?
Tokeneke Trail,
Yes, right, not the.
not the Crossroad one, which is the same, basically the same
It's
application.
the neighbor that Amy was representing, and the neighbor was concerned about 18, yeah.
Right.
Not
Right,
Crossroad.
that's the driveway,
Right, so can we deliberate that even though we're,
Yeah, I think you can. I mean, there's still, if George is in the room, there's still quorum, as long as George doesn't chime in.
okay.
Quorum's
Can't say
still-
Can't say anything.
There's still a quorum in the room, so.
All right, deliberations only regarding the following two applications, flood zone prevention application number 449, land filling and regrading application number 578, also known as PL 24-158, 18 Tokeneke Trail LLC at 18 Tokeneke Trail. Proposal to construct a new driveway from an existing curb cut on Crossroad to the existing house at 18 Tokeneke Trail and form related side zone activities within regulated areas, within a regulated area, including regrading the property, installation of a new septic system, and stormwater management. This is the one where they want to put a really long driveway across a grassy knoll, is what I'll call it. The concept is to bring the house back to its original gander, is that the right word? The original gander the way it was in grandeur, that's what I was thinking of, yeah. 100 years ago, where it was a big house with a long driveway coming in. They're gonna keep the other driveway open that goes to Tokeneke Trail. I asked if they're gonna change the address of it. I think that's immaterial, it doesn't really matter. The problem is that the driveway dips down. And so the middle section, there was pictures that were submitted that it may have happened once in 50 years, who knows, where it was a natural stormwater retainage area, basin. And they're still gonna put a driveway in there. They're doing a little bit of berming, not much, on it. It seems kind of straightforward and okay by me to do it. They can put a driveway in if they want to. It doesn't make sense for it to flood 12 inches, but they know that in advance. One of the neighbors had a representative, Ms. Zabatakis from the Rucci Law Firm, that wanted us to, I think, not put lights on the driveway and not do something else.
Stone walls,
Yeah, stone or
curbing, blocking.
yeah, they don't like the curbing on it. We've had many people come in and say, we don't want lights on the neighbor's side that's far from our house. I don't think we've ever accepted that. I can recall Wilder Gleason saying that, a dozen times. Because I think in that letter you were referencing it, if it is approved, can you do these stipulations and not stipulations? As part of the application, I don't know if it's tied to it. They say they're giving a piece to the land trust.
That's correct. One of these lots is they're going to do a land swap, and then they're going to give this piece right here to the land trust. So this is one parcel. This is the parcel that we're going to talk about in a few minutes. And then this middle parcel is going to be reconfigured, and that was the representation made by Attorney Maslin, that parcel, which is 16 Tokeneke Trail, would go to land trust.
Okay, so with that said, it's a lot line revision. It's
Yep.
not a subdivision,
Yep.
right? We're moving lot lines. But do we have to make any of this stuff contingent upon that transfer going to the land trust?
No,
Let's say they change their mind and don't do it.
then it's still a building lot. And they would have to prove to us that you can put a septic system in there, served by public water and sewer. There's some wetlands on that property. They'd have to show that they can avoid the wetlands. So certainly the lot line adjustments, just like every lot line adjustment in town, done at a staff level because it's not a subdivision. And then if they want to donate the land, great. If they don't, that's okay too.
But in terms of orders of operations, doesn't the lot line adjustment have to happen before we can do this approval?
No, I asked Mr. Maslin that, and I said, the lot line adjustment, what if P&Z doesn't approve it? He said, well, we could always change the lot line adjustment, go back to the way it was, or just change the plans, so he didn't seem bothered by the fact that it would be better if the commission approval came first, but he understood the risks.
Approval of this versus the lot line adjustment.
Right.
Because the lot line adjustment has not been approved by you yet. You
That's
signed off
correct.
on your own.
That's correct.
Because I'm just thinking this might be the cart before the horse, that's all.
What's outstanding on the lot line adjustment?
Just having the surveyor prepare the Mylar.
Yeah, so smart one.
So it's a fait
Put the
accompli?
cart next to the horse.
Right, they're running in parallel.
They're in parallel.
right? There you go, that makes sense.
Nobody's getting in anyone's way.
Jamie, do you have any concerns on this one?
That was my only question about the lot line, so I addressed
Okay.
it.
Mike, any concerns on this one?
Yeah, I guess it's entirely, even if they didn't do the lot line adjustment, it's still entirely within their meets and bounds, right? The
The driveway,
they're proposing.
correct.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with it.
Yeah, they can put his driveway in when they want to. And they can make it look whatever they
I mean,
want.
I'm sympathetic with the neighbor and putting a driveway in a floodplain, but people build all sorts of goofy things. I mean, we had an applicant that built a basement in the floodplain. Like,
Brookside.
doesn't seem like a great idea, but you know, if you know the risks going into it, and that's what you want to build,
Right.
and as long as it conforms to the rules, I
Yeah.
don't know.
And there's no water detention system. They were arguing to make a water detention system on it. There was,
They have a small one for water quality again, I think, don't they?
there was, yeah, that was the
Up by the
first flush.
beginning of the driveway?
Yes, that was,
It's a cutaway?
McCord Engineering put something more so for the house, but there's a little bit of, the plan sheet SE1 shows a little drainage associated with the driveway and kind of making sure a lot of water doesn't run off, it's catching it before it runs down the hill, so to speak. So there is a drainage
I
system.
think they did another one up there, Jeremy.
Here?
Yeah, no.
Oh,
no,
yes,
cutaway.
that's
That part.
this is the match line
Yeah,
here,
yeah,
so you're
yeah.
right. There's driveways, drainage associated with the driveway, yes.
Right. And the water's not gonna flow uphill to the neighbor that Ms. Zamatakis was representing.
Yeah.
So I think the argument is really aesthetics. I mean, it's an old antique-ish type house. I don't think they're gonna put in a modern driveway that would not match the architecture of the antique-ish house. And we don't really regulate what driveways or cinder blocks or Belgian blocks or cobblestones look like.
I think they were
Okay.
talking about stone dust for the surface of the driveway as well, so.
That's pervious. Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah, I
impervious.
guess
It was a asphalt base with tar and then crushed stone on
Yeah,
top.
you're right, you're right.
It's not smooth basketball court.
No,
Right.
it looks like gravel, but it doesn't act like gravel.
Right. Okay. So we draft in approval of this one?
Yeah, I don't have an issue with
No restrictions on lighting or anything along those
I
lines?
wouldn't put it, we've never put restrictions on lighting. You'd have to look
Yeah.
at the driveway. And I don't think they want to make it like a runway either.
Right.
I don't think somebody wants a runway lighting. And there was something, I guess she wanted low rise, she wanted to see the driveway from a distance. But it's it's like 500, the other house is like 500 feet away. Okay.
it. But you also have to take into account, it's a cool concept, right?
Yeah.
They have the pictures from the, what was it, 1800s or
Yeah.
something, showing what it was, and they're trying to go back to what it was like.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm kind of pro.
Yeah.
Good old days weren't so bad, were they?
Yeah, and they're gonna build a new, the second next application, they're gonna build a new house for themselves.
Yeah, that's the one I'm surprised didn't get a lot more
Yeah, they're gonna have the houseboy living in the ADU. Okay, so please draft up an approval for that one, and then we'll debate it when we debate it. All right, the next item up, you can speak now.
Hello again.
There you go. George is back online. Next item is flood damage prevention application number 450, land filling regrading application number 579, also known as PL 24-149 at 13 Cross Road. 13 Cross Road LLC at 13 Cross Road. Proposal to raise the existing residence and construct a new single-family dwelling unit with an attached accessory dwelling unit, generally in the same location. Construction of a new driveway and parking court, terraced areas and pool, and to perform related site development activities within regulated areas, including the regrading of the property, installation of new septic system, and stormwater management. This is a house that's next door to the one we just spoke about. It is owned by the same ownership group. I think they intimated that the two sisters, I think they were sisters, are gonna move into this brand-new house that they're gonna build for themselves.
No, they're both married to others.
Are they really? I thought they were like sisters, okay.
They are.
They are sisters, but I
They are
thought, I got you. Maybe one's gonna live in the ADU, who knows?
I don't think so.
building this to pay for the driveway.
Then sell it. I wonder why they put the ADU in there then. It was a straightforward house. It's a little bigger than the existing foundation of the new house. They're putting in a septic system, new stormwater management. The grading was signed off by the people. The lot was oversized. Is that right for the zoning? Well, the other lot's way oversized at 18 Tokeneke Trail.
Yeah, this is 2.7 acres
In a 2 acre zone?
in 1 acre zone.
Oh, so it is way oversized, okay. Any questions, comments on this one?
Smart design, looks like to me.
Amy's okay, George is okay, Jamie's okay, and Mike is,
I'm okay. I think the only thing that concerns me with this one, I'm surprised the neighbor wasn't more concerned with this, is there is a big density of development, but it is an oversized lot. But I really want to make sure we do then the land trust piece, because, this area can't really handle. So I don't know if we can make that a condition though, because it's their lot, it's their property, they can do with it what they want. But if they come back to build a house on that land trust piece, I think we have to be very careful.
yeah.
This is a flood prone area.
That's the contingent thing, because he's saying up there, we're gonna move the lot line, we're gonna do this. Okay, whatever you don't.
Yeah, and the driveway, I don't care if they don't. This one, I'm a little bit more concerned, because it is a big, it's not a big density of development, but it's a lot of impervious. Nothing gets treated, nothing gets contained. Or, excuse me, it gets treated, it doesn't get contained.
This is the lower one third of the watershed.
Yeah.
That's what it is right now. And we know it's a flood prone area. So how do you deal with that? How do we make it contingent?
I don't think you can.
I don't think we can either. That's the sort of shackles that we got. But
Hmm.
I think if they come back with another application for that lot, we have to be really strict.
Because the whole piece of land was huge, right? It was like, isn't that,
7 acres.
Well, this is 2.7.
and then the big house at 18, wasn't that 5?
18 Tokeneke Trail, I just had the file here.
You could have put 8 houses there and they put it in 2.
13 crosses 2.7. 18 Tokeneke Trail is 5.3 acres. And then I think they're donating at least an acre to land trust.
It's like 8 acres.
It's about 8 acres, so 3 houses on 8 acres.
Not too bad. But
Not bad.
But it's 2 houses on 8 acres.
it's going to be 2, right?
Yeah,
It's gonna be 2 versus 8, because it's 1 acre zoning.
yep.
If you're interested in history, the old Aldern House environment was basically owned all of Tokeneke. This was the main house for Tokeneke.
Gotcha.
That's
really cool.
18 was the main house?
Yeah.
Really?
So,
Wow, that is cool. Okay, so
Title searching days, right across the law.
Yeah.
that's,
When we used to do that ourselves.
Right.
that was actually fun. I used to do that. Then you get buried into it, then you woke up, you're like, what the hell am I still doing here? Any questions on this one? Pretty straightforward, they're building a house.
Yeah, no.
Okay, go ahead, draft whatever you can draft. And then,
That's the way, Jeremy.
Yep.
and then just do some kind of strongly worded suggestion that make sure they get the
I think on
subdivision.
both of them, right? Do your lot line adjustment
The
and
commission
donation.
commented with approval. or something.
Yeah,
Representations were made.
Mhm.
Yeah, something, at least the.
Okay.
yeah, they were not getting blindsided. Oh, we decided to sell that for $4 million. Okay, that's it for that one. All right, deliberations only on any public hearing closed on the 26th. Do you want to go just deliberate on this one for 2 seconds on Weeds Landing?
Sure.
Yeah, bring that one out. We're doing small additions to the existing house. The owner's rep said that they would do some kind of planted strip along the side so it doesn't hurt that cemetery that you really can't see anyway. But we don't want it getting damaged. It doesn't seem like they're doing a whole lot of coverage. What did you say the net was that they're building, like 1,000 feet or
Yeah,
something?
1,033 square feet additional impervious coverage based on the 3 additions as well as the patio and pool.
I didn't look at the plans, but there's no issue with the percentage coverage, right? I usually look at that.
No, that was checked by our office. They're bumping
Yeah.
closer. But what's interesting, if you notice, the pool is not a typical pool, it's an undersized, I'll call it an undersized pool.
So it's 20% lot coverage, and not anywhere close to that.
Oh, they are closer to 20%. I don't remember the exact number, Fred, you might have.
But it's still,
But they're getting close.
it's under. You can
It's
be
under.
you can be 19.99999.
It's definitely under, because we talked about it in the office. Is it over or under? And it's, that, we talked to Craig Flaherty about it, he was the, what's his Brad?
His supervisor.
This is.
And there's no,
Existing conditions.
This,
it's gonna be in the Seymour map, not the, the zoning text book. Any questions on this one, though? You guys?
Good. I don't see a proposed condition survey. I'm not sure if it's been uploaded to the application.
So we would need a final as-built, Steve, to confirm that everything complies with coverage and setbacks.
The zoning location areas, there's a zoning location survey. The paper copies. Come on, man, you should see my office. All kinds of, when I can't find it, print it again. I do. Maximum lot coverage, yeah, 19.999, I told you.
Yeah,
It's under.
Definitely gonna need a as-built survey.
Exclusive of the existing and proposed flagstone patio. That's your standard. It's allowed 20%, they're at 16.9, they're going up to, and that's your net number, it's 36.56, and they're going up to 42.94. That's your difference. Okay. All righty, please draft up an approval for that one. And if it's ready on the 9th, we can go to the 9th. What else? Almost 8:30-ish. That's that one. Then chairman's report. A couple items just to note really quick is, and I brought some of this stuff up at the OPC meeting. 90 and 100 Heights Road is on the market for sale. That is the site that's on the corner of Edgerton, next to Palmer's. There's two buildings.
Oh, yes.
One's like Epic Computers and one's
The
like
Life Study Group.
Life
Yes.
Study Group. They're in the market for sale. The broker came in and met with, I think, staff. Is that right?
We met with 2 or 3 groups. We're meeting with another group next week.
You met with the broker first, right? Or
We met with the
Yes.
broker, and then we had a potential buyer next week. We met with another buyer. So, series of meetings, which is typical for this type of sale, where it's,
And
you
across,
don't know what you can do with it.
yeah, across the street is that black, I call it the black parking lot, and the little garage. That's part of the same ownership entity. All three are selling together. It's owned by the same guy,
That's correct.
which is the, did you give the name, the Lundenberg family? or something?
Lundberg.
Lundberg, wasn't it? Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Some older family that has it. So it's three tax parcels. I pulled the numbers. It adds up to 1.27 acres, which is actually a big piece of land, but it's 3 different pieces. At one point in time, there was a connection, basically from where the post office front door is, that went across to Edgerton. They closed that connection on the building that's to the left, and they add this addition to the back. One of the suggestions that I made when I was asked by certain people was open that up. We wanted to get connectivity between Darien Commons and Heights Crossing, because there's no connection there. And if you remember, when we approved Palmer's, and I think some people were on the commission at the time, there's a different model block design for Norotan overlay district. As part of the Palmer's application for that Vaccaro owns now, they have to fix the driveway that's in front of Palmer's parking lot where there's 2 trees and they did something that doesn't connect. It's also asphalt. So as part of this application, the goal is going to be to fix the driveway, the sidewalk that goes from where Vaccaro stops to Edgerton. Because at the end of the day, we want to make it connective. I remember when Eric Voigt was on the commission, we said we can't force anybody to fix the sidewalk. because it's gonna take time, because these guys don't own it, but eventually we wanna get it connected. So that's something we have to look into. What they wanna build there, what they can build there, it is a 2-story zone. If they wanna do a 3rd story, they gotta put it in a plaza someplace. Yeah. And we've gotten creative at different times with plazas for Federal's project, and also for Palmer's project. Palmer's has got the fountain in the middle, and Federal's got the dog park that's way up the road.
So there's not a town role in that sidewalk you're talking about
No,
at the road?
it's all private.
It's the town's line doesn't go into that property. Oh, okay.
I don't think so.
Good.
Yeah. But it's, if the model block on the post road, like when Vaccaro did his building, like the building we were just talking about, and then across the street where Danny's Bicycles, he did all model block there. The one guy that we totally had to do model block, and he ended up denying it, because he didn't do it, is the Valero gas station.
Oh, yeah.
They came in at one point in time, they wanted to put a canopy in, and it was a big thing. And that was the whole application. They said, fine, you want to do that, put in the sidewalk. And the guy said, no, we're not doing the sidewalk, and he didn't do the canopy, which is, it happens.
Okay.
So that's that. The other thing that's important that is of note is Stanford Research Park, which is the Omega Drive Park that's on Hope Street.
Mhm.
Jason Klein actually just did it. They did a rezoning of that park. It is in total 36 acres that's back there. It comprises 12 office buildings. Redness and Mead did Redness and Mead and Carmody filed an application to change the zoning of that from, high density or high tech industrial to residential. The site at 36 acres has the possibility of 500 apartments, which is borders the town of Darien. As per state regulations, the town of Darien was noticed about the application in March of '24.
Correct.
It goes to the town clerk. What's passed so far was the zoning text change. So the site plan where it matters, those will come up later. Hopefully we get to see those. Those buildings are, a stone's throw from Lake Drive and Phillips Lane and not Middlesex Club, which is back there. You can see one of the buildings during the winter from the back of my house, but I think it's way through the woods, and I don't think that's part of the ownership part that was changed. But some neighbors have asked questions. There was a guy that walked around our neighborhood with petitions. It was appealed by the neighbors in Stanford because they said the notification was wrong, but they said the notification to the town of Darien was wrong. And the people that were appealing were people from Stanford. So it's something that we'll keep our eye on over the years as the site plan applications come in, because like when we change zones and do overlay zones and do text changes in town, that's the first step. The second step where they really get scrutinized is the site plan application. I don't know if they're gonna do 1, I don't know if they're gonna do 10, I don't know what they're gonna do. But that's something we keep our eye on. Because another 500 units, in our backyard is something I think you gotta worry about.
There was no transfer of ownership?
No,
No.
the existing
Some
owner,
folks-
the existing owner it's owned by, some LLC, but
Mhm.
it's the guy, Dr. Hollander. He owned a company called Omega.
Oh, yeah.
He was really,
Oh, yeah.
really smart.
Engineering, yeah.
Yeah, and he's got a big piece of dirt up in Oxford, Connecticut. He has since passed away, and I met him 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And he also, there was his son-in-law that ran it, but I don't know who owns it now, but they're gonna do something there. The office park is like 40% occupied. The other thing I just wanted to note really quick was we've had a bunch of lawsuits that were settled over the year. I think there's only one outstanding now, which is the lights at the high school.
Lights at the high school.
Yeah. All the other lawsuits that we had have been settled by Brinkelhoff. There was one on Peach Lane that got settled.
Right. 22 Peach Hill was settled, or
That was
withdrawn.
Hardy versus Brown.
The one that was withdrawn, formally withdrawn earlier today was Pemberton.
Permanent 16.
The appeal, 77 Leroy. House
Withdrawn, did you say?
withdrawn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Mr. Maslin withdrew it. And then the other one that was, the town was upheld was relative to 26 East Lane, the commission's approval of allowing staff people to live in what they call Penny's Place, the two buildings.
Yeah.
Where we approved that, I think they're approved, was there 8 units apiece? Is that what it
6
is?
or 8 units apiece, and the commission,
There was supposed to be
Change.
one, there was supposed to be one staff apartment at each building, and I think there's like one staff person in the whole
yeah,
complex.
and the judge ruled in our favor.
Yeah. We got sued,
Is
we
that
got,
that's across from my old office? Is that the?
Yes.
yes, directly in, it's Penny's Lane. A neighbor
Did they ever sort out
appealed it.
The sidewalk over there?
What's that?
Did they ever sort out the sidewalks over there?
I don't,
I don't think
we
they-
never extended it. That was Wilder Gleason. He wanted to extend the sidewalk all the way to like Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
Like, these people aren't allowed to leave and walk away.
No, they walk down to Trader
Yeah.
Joe's to bag groceries.
That was the selling point. There was a bus stop down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was over there.
Okay.
But the lawsuit got, all the lawsuits, so we're doing basically, all we have is lights at the high school, and there's the P and Z lawyer, which is Brinkerhoff, is working on it, and then also the Board of Education lawyers are working on that, so we're still spending taxpayer dollars on lawsuits. The other thing is, I think Jeremy had a kickoff meeting in Fred with Hardesty and Hanover, and those two, how many people came in? You guys had
We had
to drive
3
around
people.
town on
Yeah.
Monday.
Right, I took Neil and Sarah, who interviewed with you, and one of the employees there, took them on a tour of the major facilities in town, everywhere at Town Hall, Police Station, Library, Cherry Lawn Park, Weed Beach, took them to some of the neighborhoods through town, give them a flavor for what's out there. And so when they meet people in January and February, and someone says, oh, what did you think of Highland Farm? They'll at least, oh, yeah, be able to speak to people and understand what places are. So it really is, we're about to sign the contract with them
That's okay.
the next week or two, and we talked to them about, hey, do you want to come see the commission in January? They're deciding what week in January to come see you and get this moving along, and it was good. John Zagrodzky was able to.
Did he meet you?
He did meet
Oh,
us
good.
and
Okay.
talked a little bit about the importance of the town plan.
Yeah. And remember, it's a town plan of conservation is first. It was town plan of conservation, and then after the fact, they put on development. When the whole thing was designed, however many years ago, by the state of Connecticut, it was a town plan of conservation, and they tacked on the word development later. So it does both. So that kickoff meeting happened. I'm glad Zagrodzky met him. So he shook his hands and whatnot.
Yeah, and John was saying, these are some of the things the towns, we talked a lot about Pratt Island, obviously, which is going on in the background, of course, and so it was good. It was nice for us to be able to drive around and familiarize the consultants
Yourself.
with, all these places that, there's lots of things going on that, oh yeah, Cherry Lawn, they're doing this. There's a capital project for Weed Beach that you're aware of that's been put on hold. Pear Tree, there's a project that's going to be coming to
Yeah, I want
Kansas.
to ask you about that in a second. Okay, but that's good.
Yeah.
So you had the
It's good.
meeting, with those guys, the Gratz got to meet them, it's great. I was
We'll come see
invited,
you
but
guys
I
in a
didn't.
couple weeks.
The consultants were very appreciative of the opportunity to tour the town, and they're clearly excited to get started with the commission and make this a great plan for the town.
Yeah, I think they're interested. I know you picked a different horse, but I think this guy's gonna jump in. I never shook
I
my head, but-
understand, I just, I could change every now and then.
That's okay. There you go. And the last thing for me that's important is we have the State of the Town speech coming up, which is January.
Less than 2 weeks away.
You start writing it?
I'm not, I'm waiting for your guidance. I have last year's here, and we'll have to figure out what to write up.
I think the theme this year is steady as she goes.
Oh, okay, great, we can do
Keep it
that.
steady. We've done enough. We gotta make sure everything digests what we've done,
It's a mess and she floods.
right?
Buy a boat?
So if anybody, what'd you say?
Want to buy a boat, it's a mess and she floods.
I'll get you a boat. So if anybody wants to add a theme or a paragraph or suggestions or bullet points to the state of the town, please call me or email me or text me if you want to. It's a lot of fun to do it. It's a lot of work that gets put into the speeches. You know, sometimes I deliver them good, sometimes I didn't deliver. You actually did a great speech that you delivered.
I read yours fairly well, I
Yeah,
guess.
you did. Well, you changed a couple things. You said, like, instead of saying I, you said hey.
Well,
You know,
that's
just kind of
intro.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. Well, I did get a lot of compliments when you gave it.
Oh, good.
I think it had COVID in
Then I
it.
had deniability. Worked out well for everybody.
That's it for me. I want to punt it to the director's report and just, there's been discussion about the Weed Beach, not the Weed Beach, I'm sorry, the Pear Tree Point application.
That's correct. We've been, Fred and I have been talking with Lori Bora, Park and Recreation Commission Chairman, and Jennifer Fava, the Director, in terms of the Pear Tree Point Beach project, which is to put fill in the parking lot and expand the beach and improve the boat ramp, make some other changes down at Pear Tree. You're gonna see that application in a public hearing in January sometime. They had to get some state approvals, and I think the last step really is coming before you. So that'll be, I think Fred and I expect it to take almost a full night to go through and present. And
Whatever happened with Weed Beach? That's just
Weed Beach.
approved, fully to go, and they just have no money?
fully ready to go. The bids came in higher than expected, so they put it on hold for the time being. And they're gonna figure out when to implement that project, whether it's too late for this year, whether it's early '25, middle '25, late '25. And as part of the town's budget process, they're gonna look at bids, whatever bids come in for Pear Tree, what other capital projects we have. Pear Tree, I think they're aiming to do that project, and you'll hear more about it, in the shoulder seasons. Keep the beach open for the summer. The question is, can they start in March, April, May? Or are they gonna start Labor Day, day after Labor Day next year, work through this time of year, and start? So they're still working out those logistics, if you will.
And that was, I never saw any documents, I never watched it on TV, but it was presented to the public at the Parks and Rec level?
Yes, way back when.
It's all
about 3 years
pre-COVID.
ago,
It's all pre-COVID.
around COVID, they talked about the bathhouse, existing house, whatever you want to
Could
call it.
be a
changing rooms.
two-story facility rented out.
Yeah.
And have all that.
Right.
And that really didn't gain any traction, and it will not be put forth as part of this. This is right now, if you've been down there, on a sunny day, you'll see standing water in the parking lot. In fact, one day that we were out there, there was so much water, people were, I dare say, almost swimming in the parking lot. And it wasn't raining.
We're ducks.
Yeah, it's great for ducks. But, really, the town has an asset, and it doesn't make sense not to be able to use the asset on a sunny day.
Right.
So they've said, well, let's put some fill here, make sure the fill's not gonna cause problems, and at the same time, expand the beach. Gives us an opportunity to bring more sand in, make the, especially, I'll call it what looks like the north, but it might be the west side at high tide is probably as wide as this. Let's add some sand and make it a more usable beach. So,
And then if you remember, and I don't know if people read the papers or not, I don't think anybody reads it that much now, but there was a neighbor that was always in the editorial pages, write letters to the editor, that was drastically and very much against it for a variety of reasons. The guy actually worked for Point 72 or some of those things. They've since moved. They don't live there anymore. So that was one voice that was very much against it and went away. But if they raise the parking lot, and I don't want to get too deep into it, so if they raise the parking lot, by default, you have to work on the boat ramp?
right, because what they're gonna do, part of this project includes a little bit of dredging, including dredging down at the bottom of the boat ramp. And they're raising, so you're going further down, you're raising the parking lot even higher, so you have to figure out a way to get boats in and out of there so that it's a boat ramp redesign. I've asked Lori Gore to make sure they cover that topic at the hearing. Going to be adding some landscaping, Water quality improvements, right now, there's no water quality in the parking lot. So that will be a big benefit to Long Island Sound, is putting
Really?
in
There's
more
no-
improved drainage,
There's no water quality treatment at all?
just catch basins. So they're gonna put in catch basins with sumps, which will collect the silt.
Well,
So that's gonna be,
so you're gonna stop polluting the Long Island Sound?
yeah.
Okay.
It's really a coastal resiliency project.
Is that what it is?
Is what it is. I mean, like Jeremy said, no improvements to the building. You know, landscaping, you know, some islands, improving the appearance of the park, making it more resilient to, you know, the increases in flooding that we're seeing, and
Will EPC see it before we see it?
There's no inland wetlands. All the wetlands down there are tidal.
Okay.
So there's no need for architectural review board approval, because they're now putting in a handful of trees. Everything meets the zoning, so no zoning board of appeals, and no inland wetlands,
Okay.
so just plain and zoning.
It does Architecture Review Board have any jurisdiction over the color of the trees and plants that they put in? Do they got that planning plan thing?
Yeah, we'll have to figure that out.
You're
in
just letting
terms
us
of
do it.
their,
It's a guidebook, it's not,
yeah,
it's not
I
a,
think they're adding 10 trees, but in this environment, you're right on the water. You have to be sensitive to what kind of plants go in, seagrasses, but if there are going to be trees, what types of trees.
because Architecture Review Board did not look at Weed Beach. I mean, yeah, Weed Beach, right? And they put all kinds of seagrass in there.
We'll have to figure that out.
So that's, we're gonna look at 2025. It's a cool project, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
You know, it's, hopefully it doesn't get controversial, but you never know.
Coastal resilience, I think that's the key.
I like that word,
Yeah.
that's a good word.
That's
That's an SAT word.
smart way to put it.
there you
But it
go.
is. I mean, that's-
It
that's
is.
just-
Coastal or resilient?
It's-
Resilience. I can't spell that. No chance. All righty, anything else, Mr. Director?
Yeah, just a couple quick things as we head into December and January. What we're going to be working on is working with, I mentioned this previously, Joe Canis Time Bond is working on an update of the stormwater manual. That final draft is expected in December, and his group in Public Works is going to take a look at it, and then Joe will be coming to the commission in January, February to talk about possible changes to the zoning regulations relative to drainage requirements. As we talked earlier about the lower third of the watershed, is that still the right standard to use? We talked about what type of storms need to be addressed, what type of flood information needs to be used. So as this information changes. So we'll get to that in January, February. We're also in the process of working with town council on looking into the possibility of zoning citations. State statutes a few years ago gave communities the ability to issue zoning citations, kind of like traffic tickets. There's a procedure that needs to be followed. There's a town ordinance that needs to be adopted. So I was just on the phone with town council today about the procedural in terms of understanding what needs to be done. I'll be working with Steve and possibly Barb Hazelton of the ZBA to talk about the logistics of getting that off the ground and what needs to be done.
With that said, ZBA and ARB really want to have some kind of teeth to the regulations. And I don't know if it came from ARB or it came from those two boards. But ARB, to me, I mean, I've only met ARB a handful of times and had real conversation with him, but he came from the McLean, Virginia area. And he was like the CEO down there. Down there, if you do something wrong, there's a fining system. And it's a little bit like Blight Review Board.
Mm-hmm.
When I spoke to, years ago, town council about it, he was like, you can't do that in Connecticut because of state statute. So state statute has evolved and
Yeah.
changed. And so they want to be able to, if someone does something wrong on the ZBA side or the P&Z side, he has to enforce it, and it's, or, you know, Architecture Review Board, they want to enforce it, he kind of sort of wants a fining system. I'm not big into fining systems, but, you know,
Yeah,
you gotta have some kind of teeth to something. You guys are doing it in Blight Review Board.
We're doing it. Funny, you should mention it. Just take a second if I can.
Oh, please, go right ahead.
I just learned today that a second payment on a property that we have been lien and fining is in the mail, but apparently literally for over $40,000.
Wow.
So that will be the second time that has happened. And I'm having a meeting tomorrow morning with the town council and the first selectman about proceeding with foreclosures on a bunch of liens that have been ignored for too long. So, yeah, there may be a common thread going through.
Yeah, that's what it kind of is. It's coming through.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, if you're gonna
It's
have
a-
rules, you gotta
yeah.
enforce them.
Yeah, if you have rules, you got to enforce it. And I mean, like I said, I don't know Hervé that much, but I mean, I think he's doing a bang up job.
Yeah,
And he's
well,
enforcing the rules.
Right, we've seen it in Norwalk has recently started zoning citation. From what I hear, it's working very well. It's not gonna resolve everything, but there may be, as George said, an occasional case that through the threat of a fine, just gets resolved.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that happens,
So
absolutely.
that would be.
More often than not.
Yeah, which is great, that's what we love to hear. And the last thing I had on my list is training. Now that we're at the end of '24, the training cycle for commission members, 3 of you, is sometime in 2025. Jamie just did hers this year, because she's the newest member. But there is a land use law session that most of you have listened in on a Saturday in March. We're going to get that information out to you next week. Set aside the date, we'll register you, and everyone was home with headphones and their slippers on and a cup of coffee, listening to
Amy Suchins and him
and Jay Klein.
Klein.
So that's coming up.
And then you're still a member of the bar, right? You still have
Yes.
continuing
Oh, hell
education,
yes.
and you do. I think some of your continuing education, and I have an appraiser's license and a broker's license. I can put that forth towards
Oh, yeah,
my
that's
continuing
cool.
education. Because there's a set number of hours, right?
Right, each commission member needs 4 hours every other year, and one of those hours has to be in fair and affordable housing.
Great. As a broker, I have to take that same class.
Yeah. So it could be that one afternoon,
Yeah.
you get all your hours in.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even close. Like I've got to do 20-something
Yeah.
hours for New York.
Oh, New York, yeah.
All your planning and zoning hours.
Yeah.
No, I have to do 20 hours for Connecticut broker and like 40 hours for Connecticut appraiser. It's crazy. Oh, it's a money grab.
I found a company that does it pretty cheaply.
McKissick. To add to your list of Joe Canis and whatnot, a bunch of years ago, we had a guy come in that tell us about Cultec systems and drainage systems and versus rain gardens. That's when Susan Cameron was really
Yeah,
into
pretty
rain
well done,
gardens, because she wanted the drainage. Can you weave that in there?
Yep,
Because-
Joe talks a lot about that in the stormwater manual, what they call low-impact development, things like rain gardens versus a more mechanized concrete system you stick in the ground. So Fred, you saw that was in the report, right?
Yeah.
Where he talks about the pros and cons,
Yeah.
where it would be appropriate to use one, that type of thing. So, and when he
Because-
presents it to you, you can certainly get into those details.
Because Susan Cameron was a past great chairman, right?
I remember, I know,
She really wanted the water detention systems above ground so you could see them. That's a rain garden.
that I could not have told.
Right, that's what she loved that stuff. And then most people, they stick them under the ground, which is a Cultec system, and you never see it again. So we had a gentleman come in and give us a difference between, and he had a fancier word for it, it was like ecological something. And you could, if someone says, I want to put in a 87 million gallon Cultec system, you can switch it to a rain garden in certain areas, and they can make them look nice. So it's an option that we have. It's the P&Z Commission's option of what you want. It's not always have to be a Cultec system that gets buried and whatnot. But that's something that I think would be great. I think that's about good enough. So we have the big thing to me is the speech in 2 weeks was on a Monday night. I think it might be second to
I think
last.
it's Monday, December 9th. Ironically,
Yeah, I
the
think it
commission
is.
members will be in here, and you'll be in there.
Oh, really?
That's good.
Nice. Alrighty, cool. Anything else anyone wants to ask about, know about, anything else? We're good? Alrighty. With that said, next on the 2/3 of business, we're not doing anything like that. Note the next meeting is a special meeting on Monday, December 9th. What are we doing on that?
That is Thorndale Circle, almost
Right.
entirely. We may try to get some of these draft resolutions in a set or 2 minutes. Whether we get to them or not, who knows?
Oh, so Thorndale Circle, I'm recused anyway.
Right, so that's why you can be there. And the other
That's really
5
smart of you.
members.
Wow, jeez.
What's that
Another
for?
bonus for you. Good for you. Alrighty, that's cool. With that said, looking for a motion to adjourn.
There you go.
Jamie makes a motion. Wow, she wants out of here. Looking for Mike step to second. There we go. All in favor? 4-0. Thank you, TV 79. Thank you, Karen. And I got it, what, 59?